Hi everyone, so this is our second lesson. We're looking at LO4, and in particular we're looking at how to identify areas of improvement in performance in a sporting activity. So last week I showed you this, I give you an overview of what this particular learning outcome, LO4, is going to involve. And basically we're looking at a scenario where we've got to review the performance of other people, but in order to do that we're going to review the performance of ourselves to practice those skills of analysis. Okay, now this particular screenshot here is the mark scheme and that we have to apply as teachers to the work that we mark when you complete the assignment. So basically it consists of 3 mark bands. So mark bands 1 is worth between 1 to 6 marks, mark band 2 is worth between 7 and 11 marks, and mark band 3, as you can see, is worth between 12 and 15 marks. Now, as I've said since I've started teaching you, I am not interested in your target grades, so to speak. I am, for me, your target is to get the top grades available, regardless of what you perceive to be your own ability. I will always be striving for everybody to get into mark band 3 with a view of getting full marks where possible. Okay, so whenever I kind of show you these screenshots, I'll always kind of focus on mark band 3 and what the criteria is that you need to meet in order to kind of get those top marks. So you can see from that I've circled this particular aspect here that's relevant to what we're doing over these next few lessons, and that is the review of their performance is detailed in most aspects. So you can see there in bold the word detailed, which is obviously really key, and in most. So we don't want some of our information to have good detail, but the rest of it to be a bit wishy-washy. We want detail in there of everything we're producing in our assignment. Okay, so it's key that you do focus on those 2 aspects. So again, last lesson we identified for this particular part of the assignment, we're looking at how we identify these areas for improvement in our own performance. So for the sport, we are identifying what the key skills are, which we did last lesson, and then we need to look at which of these key skills can be identified as our strengths and which of these key skills can be identified as weaknesses. So with that in mind then, this is the success criteria for today's lesson. So for S1, you need to rank order your list of skills for your sport from best to worst in terms of how well you perform them. So dead straightforward, it literally is thinking about your skills and putting them in an order. You think, well, actually this skill, this is the one I'm best at. This one, probably the second or third best I'm at, all the way down to the bottom. So this skill is the one that I'm completely rubbish at and I need to really improve in. Okay. Now don't worry too much about this because there's no right or wrong answer. No one's going to look at it and think, well, actually that's wrong. You need to do it again. It's your personal opinion. You know yourself better than anybody else. So this order you come up with is purely individual to you. So it's a very quick and simple job. In terms of S2, identifying the top 3 of these skills as your strengths and the bottom 3 as weaknesses. Again, dead straightforward. Your top 3 are the ones you're best at. These are your strengths. The bottom 3 are your weaknesses, and these are the ones we're going to look at to improve. S3, S4 and S5 are where most of our efforts are going to be in terms of our work today. So for each strength and weakness, you need to provide a brief description of the skill. So you're going to tell me what this skill is. Okay. Now for a lot of skills, you probably feel like you're stating the obvious, but I still want those couple of sentences explaining what that skill is and what it involves. In terms of S4, you are going to then explain why each of these skills is a strength or a weakness. Okay, so why is it that you regard, catching in cricket as one of your strengths? How do you know it's a strength? Okay, likewise, if you say, dribbling in hockey is one of your weakness, how do you know what is it about dribbling that makes it a weakness? Okay, so you're identifying and explaining why those skills are strengths and weaknesses. And lastly, you're going to explain the impact that this has on your performance. So if you've got a weakness, how is that affecting your performance, and how is it affecting the performance of the team? Okay, so you can see from S3, S4 and S5 there's a lot more information, detail you need to provide. And this is we saw from the previous screen when we're looking at the mark band here. That key element of it needs to be detailed in most aspects. So it's important that for S3, 4 and 5 you are providing that that detailed level of work that you needed to get into mark band 3. So to assist you with this, I've produced a worksheet which you can find attached to this assignment. Ideally, you'd have a paper copy of this. You can write your ideas down, but unfortunately, the way we work at the minute, you're going to have to do it electronically. So, I've produced a bit of a continuum here from the best performed skills to the worst performed skills. And all you need to do is, when you're on Words, go on Insert and Text Box, destroy the text box. So, I'm going to put in here, do football, so I'm going to do short passing as one of my strengths. Okay, copy and paste that. For example, for as a weakness, I'll put second heading. Attacking headers or attacking heading. And I'll do that for each of the skills that I've identified that are key to the game of football. So you'd have a number of skills up and down here. Then I've got the tables, which is where you will complete S3, 4 and 5. So obviously in terms of S2, you select your best 3 that'll be around this end, put those skills in here. Your weaker 3 that'll be around this end, put them in there. So that'll be your S2 done. S3, obviously is the description of the skill. S4, explaining why the skill is a strength or why the skill is a weakness. And then S5, explaining the impact this has on yours and your team's performance in the end column there. Alright, so it's a very straightforward worksheet to complete. And what this will do, this will provide the scaffold for you next lesson to actually type this up into kind of assignment form. Okay, so today is very much about getting that detail and using these tables as a way of scaffolding your answer. And then next lesson, we'll look to kind of type that up within your assignment. So if we move back to presentation then, so I produced a bit of a model answer here as for one of my strengths. So I said one of my strengths is short passing. Okay, so that's S2. S3, I provided a description of the skill. So this is where I pass the ball over a short distance, typically with the inside of my foot, but I also do use the outside too. The pass would normally be played quickly and along the ground. So look, I've got 2 sentences there. So 2 or 3 sentences tell me what the skill is, how it's performed, what it will look like, and even if it does feel, like I said, that you're stating the obvious a little bit, please include that detail. S4 then is where it gets a little bit more tricky, because I'm saying why this skill is a strength. So I said it's because I'm very consistent in how well I pass the ball. My passes are accurate, I nearly always find a teammate, and I pass the ball with good speed. I also try to pass the ball in such a way to make it easy for my teammate to control. So I've given a number of different pointers there, a number of reasons why my performance of short passing is a strength. I can't just put something like, oh, because I'm good at it. Well, how do you know you're good at it? Right? Tell me what it is. What would you expect good short passing to look like? Think about that image of what a good short pass looks like and those skills and qualities that will lead to that, and include that into your answer. Okay, and then another tricky bit, S5, explaining the impact this has then. So by being so accurate with my short passing, it means that I keep possession of the ball well, and the opposition are unlikely to intercept any passes that I make. This is good for the team, as if we have possession, we have a greater chance of being able to score, and to also prevent the opposition from scoring. Okay, so you can see almost a bit of the P chain coming in there, that you've made your point and you're giving an explanation as to why that point is valid. Alright, but you can see for each of those aspects, we're talking 2 or 3 sentences. If you wish to include more, please do so. Alright, don't let me kind of stop you and say you only have to do 2 sentences. If you think I can actually talk a little bit more about this and I'm prepared to do so, do it. But likewise, don't try and do the minimum. Alright, don't think, don't use words like, well, it has a good impact on the team, on the team's performance. It means we might win. Well, how will it help you win? You've got to be very explicit and very detailed about how this has a positive impact and why it's a strength. Okay. Likewise then, I've done the same for one of my weaknesses. So I said attacking headers is one of my weaknesses. So we did, again, description of the skill. So this is where I would head the ball whilst it's in the air with the aim of trying to score a goal. This would usually happen from a set piece, such as a corner or free kick, or if the ball is crossed in from wide positions during open play. So I've given a bit of a scenario there of when I would expect to perform that skill. So I've not just said what it is, I've given a bit of background about when you could expect to actually perform that skill. So S4 then, why is it weakness? So it's a weakness because when I go to head the ball, I have to have my eyes closed and don't fully commit to the header because I feel like I may clash heads with an opponent and hurt myself. As a result, I don't really have much control over where the header goes, and I very rarely score any goals with a header. So again, 2 or 3 sentences giving a lot of detailed information there as to why it's a weakness. And then the impact this has, so by being support and heading the ball in attacking situations, I do not pose much of a goal threat to the opposition, and so I reduce the chances of my team scoring from a set piece or cross. Also, it means that the defender is more likely to win the ball in an aerial challenge, which could lead to them playing on the counter-attack and scoring. So if I've gone up for a corner and all my team are in the attacking half and I get beaten by a header, and the other team, they've got a chance of going on the counter-attack and scoring from that situation. So that's, you know, a potential weakness and obviously negative impact on my team's performance. So I hope that kind of makes sense to you then in terms of, you know, I've done one strength, I've done one weakness. You have to do 3 strengths, 3 weaknesses. But as you can see, it's not difficult. It's just making sure that you give that level of detail. Okay. So what I've done, just these are some words I kind of threw about. You know, in terms of this describing why it's a strength, these are some of the key words that can help you. So things like committed, you know, so if you're talking about tackling, you're committed to making the tackle, you're not going half-hearted. Disguise, you might think about, well, actually, when I'm passing the ball, I'm able to disguise that particular pass to the opponents to kind of fool them. Your control, a lot of things we do, a lot of skills perform need good control. We talk about speed and pace. You know, the quicker and faster we can do something, the better it is, the more effective it is. You know, errors, we talk about, you know, not having errors in our performance, or maybe there are a lot of errors when we're performing it, which makes it become a weakness. Your accuracy and consistency, variety. So if we're talking about passing, you can use the varieties of different passes with inside of foot, outside of foot, and so on. You know, judgment. So you have to judge things about the situation you're in, where your opponents are, make the right call, and obviously technique. You know, you need very good technique to perform something well. And if your technique's not all that good, then it can quite easily be a weakness. You know, for example, if I'm thinking about swimming, if I'm doing butterfly, my technique is awful, and so the butterfly stroke is a weakness for me. Whereas if I think about my breaststroke, my technique's far better, and obviously that's more of a strength. So using some of those words, and you might find some of those words repeat quite a bit, will be very useful in terms of applying it to, you know, your strengths and your weaknesses, and then obviously that feeds into the impact it has on your own and your team's performance. So lastly then, what you need to do. So on that handout that I have shown you already on Word that we attached to this assignment, you need to fill those boxes in on the table to plan out your answer. Then when I say plan out your answer, I don't want it to be, think about like your storyboard that we did for the extended answer writing in the exam. This has got to be detailed, all right? I don't want a few words in there, because when it comes to write it up next week, it won't make sense. You won't remember the key details. So I want you to write plenty of detail in the table, okay? So as you can see, you've only got to come up with six different skills, all right? So you've got plenty of time to do this with good detail. Once you fill that in, then what you need to do is save your document in your LO folder within your sports studies folder that you create in OneDrive. And I want you to use the following format. So your name followed by strengths and weaknesses. So if I was saving it, I'd have Jeddy Parkinson, strengths and weaknesses as my document title. Once you've done that, then I want you to upload this file to the assignment that you've got on our Teams page, and then make sure you click on Turn In. Okay, and that needs to be done by the end of today, please, because like I did last week, I will look at those and give you some feedback with a view of next Thursday, giving you the opportunity for you to type those up and amend any feedback that I give you onto the assignment that we've already started. Okay. If you do have any questions or any queries or anything you want to ask, just get in touch with me either on the Teams page or by email.